Last week, I found an open condom pack in my fiancée's purse. Yeah, you read that right. My fiancée. Taylor. The woman I've been with for 6 years. The woman I was supposed to marry next spring. The mother of my 9-month-old son, Mason. You want to know how I found them? It wasn't because I snooped. I wasn't being that guy. I was just trying to change my kid's diaper and couldn't find any in the nursery. So I checked her purse. She keeps backups there when she takes Mason for walks. Makes sense, right? Anyway, I reach in, pull out 2 diapers, and then I hear plop. Something hits the floor. I look down. Condoms. Not one. A pack of 3, open. Only one left inside. WTF? Let me repeat, we haven't used condoms since Mason was born. She's been breastfeeding. Her cycle hadn't even come back. Hell, she told me herself that we didn't need protection. And now there's a half-used pack of condoms just chilling in her purse like it's gum. I didn't say anything right away. Mason was crying, so I just picked it up, stuffed it in my pocket, changed him, and tried to keep it together. But man, my hands were shaking, like full-on tremble mode. I'm a damn firefighter. I've run into burning buildings with more calm than I had at that moment. When Taylor got out of the shower, I didn't waste time. I asked her, straight up, babe, what's this? Pulled the condom pack out of my pocket and put it on the counter like I was presenting Exhibit A in court. She looked at it, blinked, and then laughed. She laughed, man. Oh my God, she said. You actually think those are mine. You just pulled it out of your pocket, though. I swear to God, I thought I was being punked. I told her no. I found it in your bag, next to the diapers, the ones I grabbed because you forgot to restock the damn changing table. And she goes, all smug, "Oh, poor baby. Look at your little puppy face. I was just messing with you." She winked. But here's the kicker. She didn't stop there. She starts spinning this next-level BS story about how she bought the condoms just in case during a night out with her friends. And her friend Candace ended up making out with some dude, so Taylor gave her 2. Cool, except here's what doesn't add up. Candace has been married for 3 years. She's got a toddler and a Bible verse in her Instagram bio. She's literally the most boring human on earth. So you're telling me that girl suddenly turned into a bar-hopping temptress who needs your condoms? Sure, Jan. I said all that, not in so many words, but the sarcasm dripped. Do you actually expect me to believe that? And Taylor, she doubled down. Yes, because it's the truth. If you don't believe me, call Candace. I didn't call, of course not. What good would it do if Taylor was lying? Then she already coached Candace, or Candace owes her a favor, or maybe Candace doesn't know and would get thrown under the bus anyway. Point is, I realized something right then. She wasn't just lying, she was good at it. Too good. I didn't yell, I didn't scream, I just said, you need to come clean, right now. And she hit me with the waterworks, full sob mode, told me I was paranoid, that I don't trust her, that I'm attacking her while she's battling postpartum depression. Yeah, that card. Look, I know postpartum is real. I've seen my friends' wives go through it. I believe in mental health. I even took her to therapy when Mason was 3 months old because she said she was feeling trapped. I hired a nanny so she could have space. Gave her every break she asked for. But now suddenly I'm the villain because I dared to ask about a missing condom. Here's where the oh hell no moment kicked in. That night, she curled up in bed, lights off, door closed, claimed the brightness hurt her soul. She didn't eat dinner, just laid there. I tried talking. She ignored me, just kept whispering, I'm so tired. You don't get it. I feel so alone. And for the first time in 6 years, I didn't feel sorry. I didn't reach for her hand. I didn't say, I'm here, because I wasn't, not really. Something inside me cracked that night. I sat in the guest room, scrolling through our old pictures. Paris, Costa Rica, her baby bump, our engagement at that cliffside Airbnb in Oregon. And you know what I felt? Nothing. Just this cold, hollow silence that screamed, she's not who I thought she was. A bit of context, because I know some of y'all will ask. Taylor and I met 6 years ago at a charity mixer for veterans. She was hot, loud, hilarious, the kind of girl who doesn't wait for life to happen. She told me on date 1 that she'd never have a boring 9 to 5 and wanted to live free. Should have been my first red flag. But I was burned out. I was working 72-hour shifts at the station and wanted out of routine. She felt like a breath of fresh air. A mess, sure, but exciting. We dated for a while. 2 years in, I proposed. She said yes. 3 months after that, she got pregnant by accident. She freaked out, said she wasn't ready, wanted to terminate. I cried. I begged. I said, "We'll figure it out. Please keep our baby." Eventually, she agreed. I thought I won. Turns out, maybe I lost a piece of her that day. Next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She made coffee, toasted bagels, asked if I wanted almond butter or cream cheese like we were normal. And me, I played along. But inside, I was already planning. Because if she thought her lies were smooth, she had no idea who she was messing with. The day after that whole condom thing, I started playing dumb, like Oscar-worthy dumb. I told Taylor I believed her story about Candace, said I overreacted, gave her a half-hearted sorry. She looked so damn relieved it made me want to punch a wall. She leaned over and kissed me like we just renewed our vows, whispering, "Thank you for trusting me again." Trust screw that. I wasn't done, not even close. See, here's the thing. Taylor was smart about her phone. She never left it lying around, slept with it under her pillow, took it to the bathroom. Hell, even when she was breastfeeding, that damn thing was glued to her thigh. But she forgot about her Apple Watch. Big mistake. I was making dinner like I always do on Wednesdays when I noticed her watch charging on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower. The baby was asleep. I was alone. My heart was pounding so loud I thought I'd wake Mason just from adrenaline. I tapped the screen. Messages, notifications, some deleted, but not all. There was one from a guy named Zeke, a name I'd never heard. It said, "Last night was wild. Can't stop thinking about those hips." And Taylor's reply, "You earned it. I deserved some fun." My blood ran cold. I literally sat on the kitchen floor, back against the cabinet, just processing, or trying to. She earned it because she deserved it. Like cheating was some F*** King spa day she'd booked with a coupon. I scrolled up. There were more messages, and worse ones. Pics. One of her in the mirror in my shirt. Flirty texts about how quiet the baby was after 9 p.m. so they didn't have to worry. I almost vomited. I swear to God, I dry heaved in the sink. She came out of the bathroom singing, hair in a towel, all breezy, like she hadn't just shattered the foundation of our entire lives. I put the watch back where it was, sat down, and finished chopping onions. She never noticed a thing. But I was done pretending. That night, when she went to bed early because she was feeling drained, I stayed up and pulled her laptop out of the hall drawer. She rarely used it, but she left it signed into her iCloud. I didn't have to guess passwords. Her dumbass had everything syncing photos, messages, even a F*** King Notes app file labeled dates. I opened it. It was a goddamn itinerary. Names, bars, dates, which guys had cars, which ones tipped, One note literally said Jacob divorced, owns 2 properties, emotionally needy. Might be good for long term if I bounce. And under that, Zeke best sex so far, Def repeating. I stared at the screen so long, my eyes dried out. I couldn't believe it. No, scratch that I could believe it. I did believe it. I just didn't want to. 2 days later, I went nuclear. But not loud, not explosive. I didn't yell. I didn't throw her stuff out the window. I played it cool. I planned. I texted her friend Candace. Just one line. Hey, thanks for covering for Taylor. But you might want to know she's been dragging your name through some wild asterisk tea. Candace replied in under 5 minutes. Wait, what is she saying? I told her the story. The condoms, the gaslighting, the story she fed me with Candace as the fall girl. Candace went quiet. Then she called me, and that's when the floodgates opened. Turns out, Candace had no idea Taylor was cheating. She thought Taylor was just going out to vent and dance a little. But she confirmed something crucial. Taylor had been leaving the baby at home with the nanny on weekends and telling Candace she was going to meet a cousin. That cousin didn't exist. She said she just needed a break. Candace said, but she never mentioned guys. I'm honestly so grossed out. I asked her if she'd be willing to say that in writing. She said yes. Candace sent me a voice note confirming everything. Even sent screenshots of Taylor, saying she didn't want to be a boring wife just because she pushed out a baby. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed next to Taylor, who had passed out after 2 glasses of rosé, and just stared at the ceiling. This woman had my child, my last name soon, and she was lying next to me like she hadn't just torched every ounce of trust I had. At 2 a.m., I picked up my phone and started recording a video message. I didn't post it, not yet. But I looked into the camera and said, to whoever's watching this later, just know, I gave her everything, and she gave me nothing but lies. Next day, I put phase 2 in motion. I called in a favor from my buddy Eli, who works in cyber investigations. I told him I needed help digging through deleted files, photos, notes, old messages, anything that wasn't in plain sight. He owed me. I pulled his ass out of a wreck 2 years ago. By that night, I had more receipts than CVS. Photos of Taylor topless in someone's kitchen, a screen recording of her flirting via Instagram DMs with no fewer than 4 guys, 2 of whom had verified check marks. Venmo payments labeled pizza and dog walking from men who didn't even own dogs. One guy sent her $250 with the caption, "For the best night of my life." I was pissed, but also weirdly calm. Because now I had a plan. Here's what I did. I scheduled a family dinner, told Taylor's parents we wanted to update them on some exciting things. She was confused but flattered. She even did her nails, wore a white dress, brought a bottle of wine. When we sat down, I smiled and said, before we talk, I want to show y'all a little highlight reel. I turned the living room TV on and hit play, airplayed it straight from my phone. There were no baby pictures, no engagement photos, just screenshots, messages, photos, voice recordings. 5 minutes of pure, curated betrayal. Taylor turned white. Her mom gasped. Her dad stood up. She screamed at me, called me a monster, said I was humiliating her. And I looked her dead in the eye and said, "You humiliated yourself. I'm just the narrator." Her mom cried. Her dad called her a disgrace. Taylor ran out. I didn't follow. Her wine glass still sat on the table, half full, just like her commitment. And that was only the beginning. Because the next morning, I texted Kyle. Yeah, that Kyle, the friend Taylor claimed, had wild nights and needed condoms. the scapegoat. What Kyle told me next blew the lid off everything. And what I did after that? Well, let's just say it made the condom stunt look like a goddamn joke. Kyle messaged me back the same afternoon. Just 3 words. Can we talk? We hopped on a video call. Her face was pale, like genuinely pale, not makeup pale. I could see the panic in her eyes. She didn't waste time. Look, I didn't know she told you it was me. That's messed up. I don't even go out like that anymore. I leaned back in my chair. So the whole Kyle needed condoms for some guy at the bar story. Kyle shook her head. Fast. Absolutely not. I'm married. We have a toddler. I haven't touched another man in 3 years. If my husband even thought I was doing that, she trailed off, hand over her mouth. I nodded. Yeah, that's why I called. I figured if anyone could give me the real story, it's you. What she said next made my stomach drop. She's been sleeping around. Yeah. I didn't know the details at first, but she's been reckless. Told the girls in our group chat that she was owed freedom after giving birth. I blinked. She said that, like literally used those words. Kyle looked embarrassed, like she was the one caught cheating. She said you wouldn't understand because you're always working, that she was tired of being just a mom. And that hooking up made her feel alive again. I was quiet. Kyle kept talking. She said she gave you a baby, so now she deserves something back, something fun, that it was only fair. That word, deserves, like cheating was a reward. Like I was some emotional toll booth she'd paid with childbirth, and now she had free reign. I asked Kyle if she had any of this in writing. She hesitated, then pulled up her phone. Started scrolling. A minute later, she held up the screenshots from their group chat. And there it was. Taylor's name, timestamp, profile pic and all. He owes me this. I carried that baby for 9 months. I breastfeed. I haven't slept in weeks. He goes to work and gets hero praise. What do I get, bored? Bored F. So yeah, I had some fun. I fucking earned it. Asterisk, asterisk. I took a screenshot through the call. Kyle didn't stop me. Look, she said softly. I told her to stop. We all did. But she just kept doubling down. She made me sound like the wild one, so you wouldn't suspect her. I stared at her. And what about your husband, I asked. You think he deserves to get lied to while she throws your name under the bus? Kyle's eyes welled up. I swear, if he ever finds out, he'll never let me live it down. I leaned in. Then maybe he should find out, because I'm done protecting her. She had every chance. She nuked it. Kyle went dead silent. Then, finally, she exhaled. Okay, I'll back you. I'll tell him the truth. Just don't make it ugly. I didn't say anything. Because the truth, it was already ugly. That weekend, I invited Kyle and her husband over under the pretense of resolving a misunderstanding. I told Taylor I needed space and took Mason to my parents' place for 2 nights. She didn't fight it. She actually seemed relieved, said, "Good, I need a break." A break from what? Exactly being caught. Saturday afternoon. The 4 of us sat in my living room. Kyle looked like she was going to puke. Her husband Dave had no idea what was coming. Why are we here? He asked. Taylor tried to jump in with her usual charm voice. Just a little miscommunication. Nope, I cut in. It's a little deeper than that. I pulled out my phone, played the audio clip of Kyle confirming Taylor used her as a scapegoat. Dave's eyebrows shot up. Wait, what? I played another clip. This time, the group chat screenshots read out loud via screen recording. Kyle's voice trembling. Taylor looked like she'd seen a ghost. She stood up. This is a *** king ambush. I stood too, calm, controlled. No, this is truth, in 4K. She spun toward Kyle. You backstabbing ***. Kyle stood up next. You dragged my name through the dirt to save your own. You told my husband I was a *** king around, so you wouldn't have to admit it. Taylor screamed. Dave turned toward her, stunned. Is this real? No one answered, because we didn't have to. Taylor melted down on the spot, full tantrum, sobbing, shouting, blaming me for airing it out like a reality show. You could have just talked to me. I almost laughed. Talked to you, like when I asked you about the condoms or the bar hookups, or the guy named Zeke, or when you were lying with a straight face while our son was sleeping in the next room. She cried harder. Kyle and Dave walked out without another word. Taylor collapsed onto the couch. You ruined me, she sobbed. You humiliated me in front of everyone. Why would you do that? I sat down across from her, folded my hands. Because you already ruined this, I just turned the lights on. After that day, she tried everything. Breakfast in bed, apologies scribbled on Post-it notes, even bought a cake that said, I'm sorry, let's start fresh. I didn't eat a bite. She begged, pleaded, promised therapy, said she'd never cheat again. You can't take Mason away from me. I'm his mom. I carried him. I gave birth. I deserve to be there. There it was again. Deserve. That word felt like poison in my ears. Because if she truly deserved to be there, she wouldn't have risked it all for temporary attention and ego boosts from strangers with whiskey breath and no idea she had a family at home. The next week, my lawyer filed the divorce petition. I didn't warn her. I didn't explain. I just handed her the envelope when she got home from brunch. She opened it. Read. Froze. This can't be happening, she whispered. I nodded once. It is. You're not serious. I looked her in the eye. I'm done. You've crossed every line I have. The only thing I care about now is Mason. And he's not going to be raised around lies and instability. She tried to get loud, threatened to take everything, told me I'd never see Mason again, said, You think courts favor dads? I smiled. No, but they favor evidence. I dropped a USB drive on the table, backed up messages, recordings, testimonies, timeline files. She stared at it like it was a bomb. I walked away before she could speak again. That night, I slept in the guest room. First time since Mason was born that I actually slept through the night. And you know what? The silence didn't feel lonely. It felt like peace. The day after the divorce papers were served, Taylor went full damage control. She called my mom, told her I was having anger issues, messaged mutual friends claiming postpartum made her do things she doesn't remember, posted a black and white Instagram story that said, Some people want to break you when they can't control you, with a crying selfie. Cute. I stayed silent, let her scream into the void while I got to work. Because she thought this was a drama. But I knew this was a custody case. And I was playing for keeps. First thing I did was sit down with my lawyer again, Steve. Chill guy, sharp as hell. Told him everything. Showed him the screenshots, the recordings, the group chat logs, even the watch sync. He tapped his pen on the table and said, You've got enough here to get primary. Possibly sole custody, especially if we argue for instability and neglect. I looked at him. You really think they'd give full custody to a dad? He leaned back in his chair, straight-faced. They'll give it to the better parent, and right now that's you. We just need to build it airtight. So we got to work. I documented everything. The nights Taylor didn't come home until 3 a.m. The days she forgot to pack bottles in the diaper bag. The time the nanny texted me saying Mason hadn't been bathed in 2 days because Taylor was too tired. I printed out screenshots of her planning hookups during weekends. I was on 48-hour shifts. Receipts from Venmo where she spent our joint account on rideshare trips to bars while claiming to be at her mom's. I even submitted nanny logs. Turns out, our nanny, bless her, had quietly kept a notes app of her own. Daily summaries. Taylor's behavior. Who came over? What time? Who left? What state they were in? The best part, she agreed to submit an affidavit. When Mason was with her, it didn't feel like he was her priority. She said, it felt like she was trying to escape him. Ooh! Taylor found out about the custody filing a week later. I came home to find her in the living room, shaking. You're trying to take him from me, she said, voice cracking. You're trying to erase me from my own son's life. I stayed calm. I'm trying to protect him. From chaos, from lies, from late-night strangers stepping over baby toys. Her face flushed red. I breastfed that child. And you've ked 2 guys while doing it, I shot back. You don't get a medal for biology. She slapped me. Straight up, just smacked me across the face, and I just stood there. Didn't flinch. She backed away, crying harder. I'm sorry, I can't lose him. I left, spent the night at my parents' house with Mason, slept on the pull-out couch with him curled up on my chest. That was the moment I realized I'd already won. Because she was spiraling, and I was steady. At the first hearing, she showed up with some discount lawyer who looked like he hadn't read the file. She wore white again, like she was auditioning for a redemption arc. Her voice broke as she told the judge I was emotionally unavailable and prone to aggression, that I worked long hours, that I didn't understand her pain, that postpartum fog had made her do things she regrets. Then Steve handed over the USB drive. The judge took it, reviewed it, didn't even blink when he played the voice memos aloud in the courtroom. One of them had her saying, "Clear as day, he's dumb as hell. As long as I smile, he'll believe anything." The judge raised an eyebrow. Taylor looked like her soul just left the building. We were granted temporary custody to me full weekdays, alternating weekends. Taylor got supervised visits until further review. Her face when they read it out loud. Devastated. Rage, humiliation, a cocktail of failure. But instead of apologizing, she did what she always does. She posted. This time it was, when you give your all and it's still not enough. Maybe the lesson is to stop giving. She had the nerve to caption it, healing, not hating, with a picture of her on a yoga mat. Meanwhile, I was warming up frozen breast milk and checking for fevers at 2 a.m. A few days later, she showed up at the apartment unannounced. Banged on the door until Mason started crying. When I opened it, she looked wired like she hadn't slept. "You can't cut me out," she hissed. "I'm his mother." "You cut yourself out," I said, voice low. "Every time you lied, every time you picked attention over responsibility." She tried to walk in. I blocked her. "You're gonna regret this," she whispered. "No," I said, "you are..." And I closed the door in her face. She filed for alimony the next day. Claimed she gave up her career for the relationship. Steve laughed when he read it. She worked part-time retail at a boutique and quit voluntarily at 5 months pregnant. He drafted a response that made her filing look like a toddler's crayon drawing. When it came down to finances, we showed I paid 90% of our expenses. I had steady employment with benefits. She used joint funds for personal indulgences. She never contributed to childcare beyond breastfeeding. She voluntarily left employment and rejected a work-from-home offer post-birth. She was awarded bare minimum alimony just enough to cover rent on a studio apartment. But that wasn't the worst part for her. The worst part was what she lost publicly. Her friends unfollowed her. One even messaged me to say, "I'm sorry we didn't believe you. I had no idea it was this bad." She moved out of state a month later. Rumor is she's staying with some distant cousin and picking up bar shifts. Meanwhile, I kept climbing. Took on a promotion, started training new firefighters, moved into a 2-bedroom so Mason could have his own room, hired a part-time sitter, and shifted to partial work from home on admin days. My mom moved in 2 days a week to help. My sister came by on weekends. My house felt full, warm, real. One night, I watched Mason fall asleep holding his little stuffed dinosaur the one Taylor said was tacky. And I realized, this was it. This was what peace looked like. Not perfect, not clean, but mine and hers. Well, her life was whatever she made of the leftovers. Because you don't get to blow up your own house and still ask for a seat at the dinner table. 3 months of silence. Not a call. Not a card. No, how's he doing? No, can I see him? It was like she vanished into thin air. And honestly, I was good with that. Better than good, I was finally breathing again. Mason was teething, clinging to me like a koala some nights. But I didn't mind. His little fingers wrapped around mine made everything else fade. I was finally sleeping, without checking for unfamiliar cologne on my sheets, or wondering which lie was coming next. Then, one Friday afternoon, just as I'm finishing up a Zoom call, there's a knock at the door. I figured it was Amazon. Nope. It was her. Taylor, standing on my porch with a duffel bag and a coffee in her hand, like she just came back from a damn yoga retreat. I opened the door halfway, didn't invite her in. She gave me a soft smile, all gentle eyes, and that fake softness she used to pull when she wanted something. "Hey," she said, "I thought maybe we could talk." I stared at her. Didn't blink. She shifted her weight. "I've been doing a lot of thinking." "Where's that thinking been the past 90 days?" I asked. She bit her lip. "I wasn't ready, but I am now. I've been in therapy, real therapy, twice a week, and I want to be better. For Mason. For us. Maybe." I had to actually stop myself from laughing. For us. She flinched like the words hit her. "I miss our family," she whispered. And I swear to God, something in me just snapped. "Our family," I said. "You treated it like a backup plan. You only remembered it existed when you got bored. When the dudes stopped texting back." She tried to interrupt. I was in pain. "No," I cut in. "You were selfish, and you're still trying to turn this into a redemption story. You think a few therapy sessions cancel out the asterisk to you did." She held up the coffee. "Desperate. I brought your favorite." "I'm not thirsty." Silence. She looked like she wanted to cry, but something told me it wasn't real. Not anymore. Maybe once. I would have believed it. But now it felt like an old trick. "I just want to see my son," she said quietly. So I let her for 10 minutes. I stepped aside and let her sit on the floor with him. Mason didn't recognize her at first. Took a while. He just stared. No smile. No reaching. She tried, talked softly, and played peekaboo, even pulled out a little stuffed bunny. He eventually walked over and let her hold him for a minute. She cried. I stayed silent. Then, when I said it was time to go, she looked at me like I just punched her. That's it. Yeah, that's it. She begged, please, just dinner. One night, just us. I shook my head. No more nights. Later that evening, she sent a text. I get it. I messed up. But don't you think I deserve another chance to be a mom? There it was again. Deserve. That word, like it's some divine right. Like love is something you're owed, not something you earn. Like you can cheat, lie, abandon your kid, and still get a standing ovation for showing up late. I didn't respond. Instead, I took Mason out for ice cream. Just the two of us. He smeared chocolate all over his cheeks, and I couldn't stop smiling. He was okay. We were okay. About a week later, Taylor filed for visitation modification, wanted more access, unsurprised. Her lawyer tried to spin it like she was a rehabilitated parent, that her absence was reflective healing, and that I was gatekeeping the child out of emotional retaliation. Steve smirked in court. Your Honor, she ghosted her son for 90 days, made zero effort to check in, then reappeared when legal pressure wasn't on her back. That's not healing, that's PR. The judge agreed. Visitation remained supervised. Taylor stormed out of the courtroom, didn't even look back at me. A month later, I saw her at Target. She was pushing a cart with 3 items in it and looked tired. Not sad tired, worn down tired, like life finally started hitting back. She saw me. Froze. Then she saw Mason in the cart seat, giggling at his snack cup, and her eyes watered. She walked over, cautiously, like I was going to tell security she was stalking me. I don't want to fight, she said, just wanted to say hi. I nodded once. She crouched beside Mason and said, Hey buddy, it's Mommy. He stared at her, chewed a puff, turned to look at me. I could tell she expected some magical movie moment, some slow-motion reunion. Instead, Mason just reached for another puff and mumbled, Da. She swallowed hard. Then she stood. Guess I deserve that. I didn't say anything. She looked at me again. I never realized what I had. Not really, until it was gone. I finally looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see the girl I fell for. I saw a stranger. A walking lesson. I hope you figure it out, I said. Then I turned the cart and walked away. A few nights later, I found an old photo album in the closet, one we started after Mason was born. It had maybe 10 pages filled. The rest were blank. I almost tossed it. But then I took out the pages that had her in them, cut them out clean. Then I took a new photo of me and Mason that weekend at the lake, both of us laughing under a sunset. Printed it, slid it into page 11. We were moving forward, one page at a time.